Big Show sneaks in the ring, gives The Rock a chokeslam behind the ref's back.
Sneaks in the ring, all 400 plus pounds of him.
Well, sneaks behind the ref. It's the final stop before WrestleMania 2000, and we've got a special guest here. Welcome to Tales from the Attitude Era. It's Rob Pasbani, as always, here joined with Tommy Blacha, the former writer for WWE in this era that we're covering on the road to WrestleMania. And joining us this week, he is a musician, he is an actor, he is from show business. You may know him from such series as Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Girls Five Eva, his recently released comic, Dark Regards, or his black metal band, Witch Taint. Talking, of course, about the king of metal himself, Dave Hill. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, fellas.
Wow. Full, you run the gamut, except for pro wrestling, which seems to be, black
I'm
metal.
a fan. I will say that I did apply to be a writer for the WWE in like 20 years ago. I sent a packet. And every sketch, I guess they're not called sketches probably, or are they? I don't know.
No.
But every, backstage.
Vignette, that's what they would
Vignette.
call it.
Every vignette I wrote, and it was someone pissing their pants. Or pissing or shitting themselves. That happened every time. So I think I was not hired. Rightfully, I should not have been hired. And I think it's for the best.
Well, you know what? When I left there, it was funny because we've talked about this whole podcast a lot about how there was a weird vacuum when a guy left, and it was just myself. Someone else came in. We were writing shows on yellow pads of paper. We didn't even have computers. And then it blew up, and then there became big writing rooms, and it became bloated. And I can't tell you how many people through the years have told me, like, oh, I'm going to get a job there. But the job became horrible. It just was not like the time I was there. It was just like this weird disconnect. So there was a revolving door of people. In fact, I heard stories about like some writer being like, he just left in Houston. He went to the airport. He didn't even, get the flight back home, and just it really became kind of like just a bad place to work. And
I've only heard that it was horrible. I've never heard, but that didn't quell my desire. I still just I wanted to honor 12-year-old Dave Hill,
sure,
and work there anyway. But yeah, I think Matt McCarthy, if you know him, I think he wrote. I thought that he said he wrote for them at one point.
Yeah, he did,
and said it was nuts. And everyone I talked to said it was nuts. And then Bob Mould wrote for WCW, I think it was at one point.
What was funny is Bob Mould was a director for WCW, oddly. Right at the time, like, I was there too, which was just a strange thing, and I'm sure. And it was the same thing for me. I was like, I can't, I can't not take the opportunity to see this business behind the scenes. I had plans to like go to California, but I was like, no, I got to take it. But it was this weird circumstance. I was very lucky to be like, oh, I'm really behind the scenes, like my fingers are in everything. Then once it became so big, then there was like 2 writing staffs for different shows, and then they were off disconnected, and it was just wrestling's so odd anyways, let alone to be it was kind of became the worst of both worlds. How about the worst part of writing for a sitcom with the worst part of working for wrestling and the worst part of bureaucratic entertainment? It just became a very, in my opinion, like a very bad place to work in that sense. It wasn't like fun at all,
So. Yeah, that's what I heard. I still wish I had done it, but
yeah, at least you could have went a couple weeks and then like that guy just left in Houston. Like,
I would have had stories for a lifetime.
Yeah,
sitting around. Well, let me tell you about professional wrestling, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have started like a podcast, and then with the proceeds, bought a really big sandwich like once a week. Like we did. Yeah.
Whether I wanted it or not, just because I can.
And that brings us to Tales from the Attitude Era. That's what we're doing here.
And just so I know, is there, the whole time we're talking, there's like action music and explosions in the background, right? that you add later.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. This is all a lot of post pro here.
Yeah.
Okay, I assumed as much.
We cut away to a lot of rabid fans constantly.
Yeah, Reddit and maybe even subreddits, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Dave, you have a history with pro wrestling. Like you're coming in cold here because you didn't watch the Attitude Era. But
I watched the episode you sent me.
Yes. I just mean like you're not familiar with the storylines leading into this episode, so you're kind of coming in cold for this episode.
Somewhat, but I mean, I was familiar with most of the wrestlers featured in that episode, if that's what it's called, event. There was only, I feel like the people that I wasn't familiar with, that they didn't deserve to be known.
Okay, well, we'll go through it, and you can let us know who you knew and who you didn't, and what your takes were. And of course, Tommy, we'll always love to hear your backstage insight here. And it's good because this is an episode right before WrestleMania 2000, which arguably is the biggest show of the year. And we've kind of been talking about on the show how the lead up to it has left a bit to be desired. And it's a bit of a rush in these last few episodes to kind of shape the whole card for WrestleMania. But by this point, the card is mostly shaped. There was only one match added on this show, which was the hardcore match, which you saw coming if you've been watching the show.
Oh, yeah.
So instead, you spent the whole show, which I liked, just further whetting people's appetite of like, this is what you're going to see this weekend. That's why there was a lot of chaos this episode. Right, Tom?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, and also, and usually Rob, I categorize him as a smart mark, someone who was very into like the storylines of wrestling and where they went. But the business was growing so huge at this time. Part of the business was just keep doing the same fucking thing because we're getting mainstream people, you know what I mean? So there's this weird, like, confused duality, I guess, that's happening in a way where sometimes this is a theme of this podcast. Rob will always be saying, like, what were you thinking here? And we're like, we're fucking thinking anything. We were in a different city and just trying to pull it off and realizing, like, you're meeting with this mercurial guy who runs it. Vince call him like the showrunner and be like, how about this? How about that? How about that? We're going with this. Where is he? What time is it? Okay, we pulled it off. And then later to have this like retrospective, like, was everything set? And we're just like, I don't know. I can't even think, at the time. And, just using all your, all your devices like over and over. I don't know if that even made sense. Now I'm going off the rails.
So yeah, let's get into it. We're in San Antonio. It's March 30th, 2000.
I like that they had a bit of scene, the canal there in San Antonio. There was a scene.
Oh, the river walk.
Yeah, I like that they included that for a bit of local flavor.
Local flavor. Wrestling always has local flavor. And cheap heat, you always, like, the bad guy will always mention how the sports team sucks and stuff like that. That's called cheap heat. We love it. What was really funny, let me just mention this. This was in Freeman Auditorium, right? So you got some context is the business was blowing up so huge. Top 10 cable TV shows numbers through the roof for wrestling. And just that whole year I was there, it was kind of like Hollywood, like, what is wrestling? By this point, everyone's like, oh my God, can you get me tickets? And like, just, my agents went from like, why would you want to do this to like, oh, this is the most incredible thing. Can you get this guy in? Can you do this? But so as it's crescendoing to WrestleMania, this particular show is at the Freeman Auditorium in San Antonio, which is still like a rodeo auditorium. So but the locker room smelled like fucking cattle shit. And there was still like kind of stockades there. So it was this weird thing that was like, every week was kind of like, we're on the private jet. It's blowing up. The XFL is playing. My God, the ratings are through the roof. Things are better than ever. Oh, Freeman Auditorium, watch out! Don't throw guys into the stockade here because there's like urine on the wood and they might get infected if they get a splinter.
Oh my God!
So there's this weird different things always. But that is wrestling. It's always like you're on the road in some weird locker room, and even I
like that, an element of chaos.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's added chaos, I should say.
Yeah. And the guy running it loves it. He loves when shit goes wrong. And in fact, he will sometimes be like, I don't think I'm going to make a decision to the creative staff about what's going to happen till almost it's too late. So you're always like scrambling, so it's a fun place, but just wanted to set that
you guys
up.
on your toes.
Yeah. 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 On our toes and negatively keeps you insane. Yeah. Kind of like the same tactics like that, Trump and Hitler use, sort of chaos.
I did have that thought that that there was was analogous to our current form of government, whatever we're calling it. Just when like what's it called? The not garbage match. What's it called?
Hardcore match?
Hardcore match. There's a garbage match too, right? That's when you can bring a ladder in.
Well, no, we didn't call it a garbage match, but that could have caught on if you were a writer there.
I feel like garbage match was when because I went. We were talking about this yesterday, Rob and I. A couple times I went to matches in Cleveland at like VFW halls, and then at the time I was writing like articles for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the paper there, and then I got them to let me be. I don't know what the term would, but I was like the gist of it was an audience member who got too close to the ring and it was shit talking someone and got pulled in,
right?
And what would that person be called?
A plant.
I don't know. A plant. A plant. Yeah. I was a plant, and so I was in a match, and got actually it was painful. But I remember them. I think they were calling a garbage match when they would have. There was one where they brought like a ladder in, and you could bring you could bring anything in, but it was all staged, in suburban VFW hall,
right?
And
wow,
anyway, so I think that's where I got that term from, what they call, and whatever that league was called.
Well, usually it's called hardcore. I never heard garbage match, but that's good. But I'm lucky you survived, because there was it used to be like an ethos of like, hey, if we're going to bring in an outsider and do something, it's good to like really slap them and really kind of hurt them.
Well, they did. They did, because it was, I don't know if it was like a battle royale is when you have like a dozen guys in the ring or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Bunch of guys.
So they had that, and that was when I was like yelling at the guy, and they're like, "Get in it," And then they do whatever the hit is, where you stomp your foot and you simultaneously like kind of brush the guy's chest, but the stomp makes it seem like you really nailed him.
Right.
What is that move when you go like forearm blow?
Sure, forearm.
And so we practiced it backstage. And then he nailed me so hard, and I went down, and he's like whispering in my ear, he's like, get up, we're going to do it again. And I was like, no way, I won't survive another one of, like, he hit me, my chest was bruised from it really hurt. But it was very painful, like knocked the wind out of me.
That's good old school stuff, yeah. Where they're like, I told Rob a story too when I was like, because I knew some, my brother knew wrestlers when I was like in 6th grade. I was kind of like, I knew some of the lingo. It's a work, and I went to see some local wrestling, and they, the guys, this one tag team was like, oh, like I'm the smart ass 6th grader, and they took one of the new guys or the jobbers, or the workers, and right in front of us, they just slapped this guy around so hard he had just welts all over him. And so I was in 6th grade thinking like, when I was in 3rd grade, something's not right about wrestling, like the fun punch doesn't work. But I was walking home in like 6th or 7th grade going like, that's real. I mean, they they destroyed that guy, and it blew my mind, because they were throwing him right at our feet, and the guy was just like, he just was so welted and so red, and they were just like, just chopping him like, and we're just like, oh, but that's what they wanted. Like, those guys will go home, and
they wanted that reaction out of you, Tommy.
They got it.
It worked.
Yeah, they got it.
Oh my gosh.
So it's the final stop on the road to WrestleMania, and we kick it off with fireworks. It's Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Hot start. Kane and Paul Bearer out there teaming with Rikishi taking on the Dudleys, Bubba and Devon, half brothers.
Well, the Dudleys, those were the guys I was not familiar with. So would they be jobbers?
No, they're the tag team champions, funny enough.
They were?
Yeah.
So I was just like, there's no way the Dudleys are not going to get their asses kicked. You don't, apparently I couldn't be more wrong. Good at wrestling, those guys.
Some would argue they are jobbers. I mean, it depends who you talk to nowadays. But.
Well, I knew Kane and Paul Bear. Knew who they were. The Dudleys were really the only guys I didn't know.
Oh, and so you knew Rikishi. You were familiar with Rikishi as well.
A little bit, but I don't know his story really. But I guess he is a mysterious guy, so I wasn't meant to fully understand.
Well,
him.
this is interesting that
Kane's a mysterious guy.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say you thought they were jobbers, because if you just had this match to go by, they were kind of treated like jobbers in this match. Bubba threw Rikishi in the corner, tries to chop him. Rikishi acts like it doesn't hurt him. He no-sells it. Goes for a DDT. Rikishi just stands right up. Tags in Kane. Cleans house. Does a double choke slam. Tags Rikishi back in. Rikishi bonsai drop. That's his finisher on Devon. Wins clean. Not even a run-in or anything. A clean win on the tag team champions. Doesn't quite matter because, spoiler, they're going to lose this weekend. But, but it is interesting that, I feel like sometimes I see certain critics of modern pro wrestling lament how these top guys are always taking out the tag team champions, and it makes the entire tag division look weak. Now, excuse me, Dave, this is a little inside baseball here, but what do you think about that? What do you think about that, Tommy? Does this make the tag team
here's the thing.
Weak?
As the business was growing, you got to remember, it used to be the old school model was like, watch TV, watch these guys destroy jobbers, no names, and then buy your ticket to go see it live, and then always see the good guys beat the bad guys. Now we have so much 5 original hours of programming a week. My analogy is more like baseball. You might go watch the Yankees when they're on top, and then they had a bad game. You don't go like, oh, it's over for them, and I know it's a work. So you have to, when you have so much TV time, you have so many matches, occasionally you got to be like, oh, let's have these guys lose fast, or let's have this. You can't constantly keep it surprising, So when people say like, oh, that happens all the time, it's like, there's 5 hours a week of original program. Everything has to happen, and so at any given moment, that's an ethos for the wrestlers themselves to be like, you can't be a mark for a win, and you can't be a mark for the belt. Meaning, like, you can't, you got to do your job, and that's where the name came from, jobber. To be like, when we tell you to lose, you got to lose. It's okay, because then you'll get your heat next time. It's like, oh, you lost fast, and you look crummy, but next time you won't.
Does that make sense, Rob? That comparison. Yeah, I like the comparison to a world champion baseball team.
Because there's 160 games in baseball. It's not like football. When
but also conversely, they're not defending their championship every match. Right. And I guess this was a non-title match, but I still think the comparison sticks, and it's a good comparison, and it's fine. It doesn't hurt the Dudleys. It's not a big deal.
And also, it's a good thing for wrestling for fans to be like, I don't like this, but I'm still talking about it. And, as long as they're buying the ticket, and I'm disappointed in this, but I still like it.
During the match, we learned that later today, we're going to find out that there's a stipulation in the Fatal 4-Way main event at WrestleMania, and The Rock will face Kurt Angle.
No other industry and art form uses the word stipulation as much. So that's a very rarely used word, but not in pro wrestling.
I think we could. I think we should use it more in the day to day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, I'm going to pick my mom up from the store. Well, I have a stipulation.
Under what stipulation?
If you're going to do that,
she has to be outside the store. On my arrival.
There you go.
Or I keep driving.
Right. Stipulation. I'm going to incorporate that into my life a lot. Wow. My life just got better. Stipulation.
Before the break, DX arrives. Stephanie and Triple H come out of their DX Express tour bus and are greeted by X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Tori. And after the break, Triple H and Stephanie come out to the ringside area to cut a promo. Triple H says, and I honestly I almost puked. I am this business. Like it's there's something about Triple H saying the word business or we're referring to wrestling as this business that just triggers something in me of like, I can't.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's funny about him. So the model obviously was forever baby faces and heels.
Oh
no. Nice. Good guys and bad guys. And then this with the evolution of Steve Austin and The Rock, that kind of became what they called tweeners, which are like anti-heroes in the sense of like, oh, Clint Eastwood and all those movies, like, they kind of act like a bad guy, but they're a good guy. So it kind of threw things in, like, who's going to face these guys? Who's going to be hated? And also, like, if these guys act cool and they're like bad guys, who's going to be their opponent? I end up appreciating Triple H in the way he like does stuff like that and gives you that reaction, because that's his job to be like, oh, I puke. And even he would say things like, in this very ring, and be, you know what I mean? He's kind of like, so he's weirdly hateable, in a different way, where like he's not hateable, cool hateable, because that's what started happening. Like as a kid, I always rooted for the heels. Like, I like the bad guys. They're, they're funnier, they're cooler. So he kind of was like, well, he can't be too funny, and he, so a lot of that was pretty good. It was on purpose, like things like that, like, in this very ring, he kind of knew, like,
the problem is he still does it now as like as a good guy character. So I don't know, but I hear you.
Maybe part of it was like, as he started his movie career, didn't go like, it's like, sorry, you don't have
Triple H.
Yeah.
He had a movie career,
sort of.
I mean, I guess
they had WWE had a studio, so he had a movie called The Chaperone or something, and it was like, it didn't quite go. So it's like, I better lean into that unlikable, you know what I mean? But it is funny. There's unlikable as a actor, like, oh, good, audiences like to hate him, but some things that don't transfer. But his abilities here transferred. But I hear you. But it's good when as working in the behind the scenes or being a booker, and someone says, "Oh, I almost puked when he said that." Like, oh, that's good. They fucking hate him. Yeah, we need that.
Fair.
And then you can go back and forth. Like I remember, right? That's the thing, that you can be a babyface then a heel. Like didn't Jimmy Superfly Snuka do that?
Yes, he did a couple times.
But then as we learned, he was a bad guy in real life in the end.
Oh, quite.
Yeah.
Not to bring it to reality, but
a lot of those things don't add up.
I was a big fan of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. But so he said he's talking about how he's the best at what he does. The crowd is chanting Rocky. Vince McMahon comes out. He asks, "Just how good are you, Triple H? We're about to find out. Knowing the coward you are, I know you're always looking for a way out, perhaps a disqualification or a count out. So I've decided the match this Sunday is no DQ, no count out. The only way to win is a pin in that very ring." Not even a submission. I guess this was the era where they didn't care about submission so much. Triple H responds, "If you think that rattles me, you're wrong. I am the man that retired Mick Foley. No DQ means nothing to me." Keeps reiterating that he put Foley out of this business, leading to Mick Foley interrupting. Now, so Dave, just to let you know, at the last pay-per-view, Triple H and Mick Foley, known as Mankind, had a retirement match where if Mankind lost, he had to retire. And he did lose, thus having to retire. And then 2 weeks later, Linda McMahon decided, I'm going to bring him out of retirement to join this main event fatal four-way match. So it's a little
well, like we said, pro wrestling's like science fiction. They're dead. Well,
yeah,
not really.
The thing I've never understood about Mick Foley is how can you be Mankind and Mick Foley? Like, why doesn't it instantly demystify?
Usually you would be right, but he's the exception to the rule, and that's what
he makes it work.
The three faces of Foley.
It's like, and also, they kind of played it off like he had a multiple personality disorder.
And what was the third face?
Cactus Jack.
Or Dude Love. It was Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind.
And
Dude
you know,
Love
you got
like a 70s like hip love character.
What you got to understand too is that these guys would have like a legacy somewhere else. So like the fans would be like, oh, he's Cactus Jack, this hardcore guy before he came to WWF. WWF wants to own, your likeness and then kind of redo your character. So he comes to WWF and he's Mankind. So he's got a mask on. But the fans, the inside fans, smart marks such as Rob, are like, oh, that's Cactus Jack from somewhere else. And now he's Mankind here, but he's brutal and does this. Oh, and I like him and he's funny. And then he's here for a long time. People kind of know, like, well, who is the guy? And this is the weirdness of wrestling where people have a lot of inside info now, like, well, he's really Mick Foley from Long Island. And then he wrote a book as Mick Foley. So they all kind of melded together at some point. So he was able to just come out as himself. So it wasn't really like planned. It just kind of evolved that way over a long period of time. So then at a certain point, he's able to be everyone. In fact, one of our favorite moments was when he had an old character named Cactus Jack who was ruthless. So now he's the same ruthless guy here, but he was talking to Triple H about, like, I'm going to have a mystery opponent for you. And he's like, big deal. Who is it? And then he's like, Cactus Jack, and it was just himself with just a different T-shirt on. And then Triple H got like, "Oh no, I'm so scared. You're not going to invoke who is really you." And when you lay that out on paper, you're like, "Well, fuck, that's not going to work. It's what a fucking ripoff. It's just the same guy in a T-shirt." But he could do it, and the fans went crazy, and it just was a weird moment where, like, it's gonna be me, but what this T-shirt I used to wear. Oh my god! But it totally works. So, but he's very unique like that.
I love it. He's sort of the poet laureate of the WWE, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the thinking man.
He's the thinking man, and he's weird because he's kind of like, he's slobby and he's got a pear-shaped body, but he's really smart and he's articulate, but he's nuts. But he only brawls. So he's this very unique mix of all these.
He's a complex. I happened to watch him on Hot Ones last night. I turned on the YouTube channel and it was on, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch him.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's compelling. He's smart. He's articulate. He's my favorite guy to really write for, because you could do anything. Like, he could, some guys would be like, "Oh, now I don't look strong. I'm going down." He could be like, "I'm a goofball and I'll lose and I'm straight comedy." And then suddenly I'm nuts, and I can be the champion. And so he's all across the board. He's like has the most tools of anyone I think I've ever encountered, so to speak.
I like it.
So he says that since it's now a no DQ match, he's going to bring a barbed wire bat. Now he's scared, and he hugs his belt like a child about to have it taken away. I like that little detail. And Foley says the day after WrestleMania, Triple H has to go to work, but Mick Foley does not. So he's going to go crazy. Make sure that Triple H's championship is around his waist. I thought Mick Foley did a great job here, kind of playing into fans' dislike of him coming back, but using it to his advantage, saying, like, look, this is only a one-night thing, and since I only have to wrestle for one night, I'm going to give you the craziest version of myself because I'll have all this time to recover. I thought that was good.
And I'm a beloved, trustworthy character who 4 weeks ago said he was going to retire and not come back, but totally denying that, but here we are.
Backstage, Kurt Angle is chewing off a security guard's ear about how unfair he's being treated with having to wrestle twice at WrestleMania, and then Big Show interrupts him, says he wants to talk to Angle, likely having to do with Angle's match later with The Rock.
Straight soap opera bullshit, just lifted from a soap opera. Scene ends before a commercial. Could I talk to you? Dun, dun.
Yeah, wrestling just doesn't have that dramatic soundtrack added to it. Next match, it's Taz. He's taking on Crash Holly for the Hardcore title. Now, the rule about the Hardcore title is it's defendable 24/7, which means if anybody has a referee, they can just run in and start attacking the champion and have a match right there.
That's what I like. Like you can just run all over the place, right?
Yeah.
It's like trying to think of an analogy, but I don't have one.
You can't because it's so fresh.
The entire everywhere is this inside the squared circle.
Yes.
Or something. Is it still called the squared circle, or does that
absolutely.
die with did that die with Gordon Soley?
Yeah. No, it lives on forever because of
Okay,
Gordon
good.
But,
did he invent that?
I'm not sure, but it'd be a good guess. You know what? Let's say yes. You heard it here.
Yeah, I'll say yes.
Yeah, it might. Who knows? These things sometimes could be 100 years old, or who knows? Yeah. Well, it was when they started making a ring, and wrestling was amateur wrestling was in a circle. It is such a wonderfully dumb but time-honored thing. The squared circle.
Yeah, I really like it.
I know. Why is that? Oh, it used to be a circle, but now it's in a square.
Then wouldn't it be a squared square? You're like, wouldn't it just be a square?
Inside.
The circle is turned into a square. Yeah, the squared circle.
So it's a square.
But isn't there still a circle in the square, or no?
No.
In an amateur, in a freestyle wrestling thing.
But it's not in a square.
Well, I guess it is. I guess if you think about it, the freestyle thing, it's the circle, but then there's a square around the circle where the ref stands, maybe?
Boo! Boo!
Yeah, no thanks, pal.
Yeah. Pasbani disrespects Gordon Soley in his dismantling of the square.
I would
circle.
never respect.
Just let it be a legendary phrase. Boo!
All right. I take it back. So it's Taz vs. Crash Holly. Before the match, Crash is looking around to make sure no one is stalking him. Quickly, Taz and Crash end up in the crowd. Viscera meets them there, and he attacks. He tries to pin Crash. Headbangers are there. They try to attack. Total bedlam. The game is one person tries to pin Crash. The others move him off, and then they go for the pin. Others move him off, so on and so forth. Chaos and calamity all over the arena.
Yeah, this is hard for me because well, Dave, like I said, this was my idea, the whole 24/7 hardcore match, and I loved the hardcore.
Wait, you invented that?
The 24/7 aspect was my idea. Where
I like it. It's sort of like I don't even know. Again, I don't know what it's like. It
was so fun. It was just like
it's anyone's game at any time.
And this Crash Holly specifically was so funny and great doing it. And I had so many ideas to be like, it could just become a burden for him. Like, no, it's nuts. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. It's like too late. But I wanted it to culminate at WrestleMania, all this stuff here. And it was kind of like just hot shotted. It was kind of like, we could have it run through the whole WrestleMania. He could be here, there, different people. Someone hit someone over the head, and just some fan, a plant could be like, I'm going to land on him. Oh, I'm suddenly the champion. And then they get hit by someone, and, just...
Yeah, like they could just be out having a nice lunch somewhere.
Yeah.
But don't you have to run in with the ref, and
sure,
you'd have to have a ref with you.
Right, but if someone has a ref with them, and then they get peeled off and hit, so anyone there could be like, and then the ref would be like, well, I guess I'll count for that person. Just endless weird layered possibilities that
Oh,
the world's a wrestling match.
Yeah.
With the hardcore title, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was fun. We get a little more hardcore stuff throughout the night. We get a cut to GTV. This was another recurring segment throughout the show. This is like a security cam. We're in Val Venus's hotel room, which really shows the budgets of how the budgets have changed in WWE, because like this is like a a Super 8 or something like that. Like It looks like a motel room where he is. But I guess it kind of adds to the seediness of a porn star gimmick.
Also, the budgets haven't really changed, because the budgets when was there, we'd blow up buses and shit, and do all kinds of madness. So this was just a choice, and just like this was the rough and ready guerrilla filmmaking aspect that I missed. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't he be in a cheap, shitty motel? And also, just you're doing such fast stuff where it'd be like, okay, let's do this segment, and like, okay, someone there, like, here's where we are, like we're not going to get the Four Seasons, and I like that color. I like the bowels of arenas and carts and bullshit, and
absolutely.
Yeah, so now I'd be like, oh, let's be in a nice hotel room. Boo.
I agree. The shittier, the better.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking about this yesterday.
My whole rant and making it succinct. And what you're trying to say is the shittier, the better. Yeah.
Well, that's what I miss.
Yeah, I do too.
I miss from when I was a kid watching WWF, of just like the feel of just like, oh, they have to be done at 4 because there's a craft fair in this same spot an hour later.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's Val Venus' hotel room. Miss Cat knocks on the door and we learn that Val Venus has now been deemed the special ref in Miss Cat's match against Terry. And the suggestion of the segment is that if she sleeps with him, Val will call the match favorably for her. And he is A-okay with this.
You seem like you're at a dissertation or
I'm
Val Venus'
legal
Like,
representation. Yes.
What happened? What happened? Well, I guess apparently.
Now, my client, Mr. Venus, was offered a proposition from professional wrestler Mrs. Cat, Ms. Cat,
with between two consenting adults for
Yes.
said,
Yes.
Is it prostitution? Is it illegal? If it's not money, it's for potentially a faster count from a ref, or I don't know. It's a legal gray area.
And so after the break, we see that during the break, the hardcore match was still going. The posse joined, lots of brawling, and then Crash was able to escape again. The Hardys come out. They are on commentary. Their level of charisma is maybe one notch above Linda McMahon at this point.
They're the ones that look like they were in Cold Chamber at some point.
Yes, they look like they
Right?
shot it on topic. That's
Okay.
fair. Yes, but great wrestlers at the time. And so they're on commentary for the match between Road Dogg and X-Pac against Edge and Christian. And it's good that the Hardys are getting mic time because they're
Cold
not
Chamber
that...
versus White Snake, kind of.
Yeah.
But the Hardys are getting the experience of talking on the mic, and they're not like great at it, but it adds to their charm, I think. The match ends when the ref gets knocked down. The Hardys come in and beat up Edge and Christian. Jeff gives Edge the Swanton Bomb, giving Road Dogg and X-Pac the opportunity to get the quick win.
Makes sense.
But I do want to point out that so far both tag teams in the tag team title match have lost to tag teams not in the tag team title match that are in their own match.
Right. And
I guess there's no end. Just saying.
like I said, scans the crowd. Everyone's happy. Disgruntled young Rob
just-
Pasbani pointing out. Excuse me. They've lost, but isn't that decreasing their arms flailing in front of them of happy fans? Yeah. That's my take.
Mick Foley sees The Rock backstage. Foley offers The Rock some help in his match with Kurt Angle, since he assumes that the other members of the main event are going to be there. Rock thanks him, says thanks but no thanks. He doesn't need Foley's or anybody's help. Mick Foley says he could respect that. They two faces that respectfully disagree and move on.
Yes. Yeah. And another time-honored Rock phrase about the 90th time in the last 6 months. I don't need anyone. So,
Kurt Angle is out. He tells his kid fans that despite Sunday being a school night, he's allowing the kids to stay up late to watch him defeat both Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit at WrestleMania on Sunday. He said, even though was it the San Antonio Stars? I thought it was the Dallas Stars. He said, even though the Stars won't repeat as the world champions this year.
Spurs.
Oh, the Spurs. Oh,
Yeah.
Spurs. Why did I write Stars? Right, of course. The Spurs. David Robinson. Yes. Won't repeat as world champions. Boo. Kurt Angle will.
That's Cheap Heat, which this guy delivered good. Cheap Heat is like,
Oh, Cheap Heat. That's
ragging
my
on
new
this
band.
local sports team. Yeah.
What does that mean? That means
Well, it's Cheap Heat is like a bad guy wants to get booze. So they
Heat is getting booze, getting the crowd inciting the crowd would be heat.
okay.
So one of the things that you can always do, and they kind of in wrestling, it works. It's not really looked down upon, but Cheap Heat is like, oh, what do I do? Oh, you're in San Antonio. They love the Spurs. Go out and say how the Spurs suck. Boo.
Oh yeah.
And you'll easily get booze.
Oh, I've been doing Cheap Heat all along without realizing it.
Yeah.
You're a very natural heel in your stand-up persona, Dave Hill.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cheap Heat would be
very
like,
braggadocious.
yeah.
I would do that in Tenacious D. We did a tour last summer and in Europe, and I would just find out who the in the UK, I would find out who the rival football club was, and I would bring them up immediately.
Oh, cheap heat.
Just
That's
to get an entire arena booing.
Yeah, absolute cheap heat. Good cheap heat too.
It's a good tactic.
Yeah. It's a brilliant tactic.
Rock comes out, absolutely massive reaction. Easily the biggest star on the show. Huge Rocky chant. As the bell rings, Triple H and Stephanie come out immediately. Rock is distracted. Angle immediately gets the advantage to start the match. Shane and Big Show come out. Crowd is really hot for the match. This is the hottest the crowd has been all night. Rock sets up for the Rock Bottom. Triple H gets on the apron, distracting the ref. Rock knocks down Triple H. Big Show sneaks in the ring, gives the Rock a chokeslam behind the ref's back.
Sneaks in the ring, all 400 plus pounds of him.
Well, sneaks behind the ref. Angle makes sure to give the Rock a big beat to protect the chokeslam finish. Then goes for the pin. The Rock is able to kick out. Angle picks up Rock, goes for a clothesline. Rock ducks, hits a Rock Bottom. 1, 2, 3, clean win. This is a bad night if you're holding a championship in WWE because you're losing clean. Right. But it's fine. Like we talked about last week, anyone can take a loss to the Rock. Rock wins as soon as the bell rings. Triple H and Big Show attack the Rock after the match. Vince runs down with a chair, stops Triple H and Big Show, but his own son Shane nails him with the world title. And then a lot of more brawling, and it ends up Big Show standing tall while the other 3 members of the main event are down, and Big Show raises the belt.
It always works. There's something extra. It gets so convoluted with like the same stuff of like, okay, this guy hit this guy, he's going to hit this guy. But there's always something very special about a actual son hitting his own father, or father hitting his own son, daughter slapping her own
especially
mother.
At this time when we never saw it.
Yeah, it just works. It just juices it. It doesn't matter. It's just like, it's his own father.
I also love that the folding chair is just still a go-to after all these years.
Yeah, it's become
of all the things you could drag into the ring. There's always a folding chair.
Yep.
The ultimate disgrace.
Yeah, and it's well, I've seen some on eBay that have been like if they started to get to a point where like, ooh, there's a good creased one with blood on it, and people would like take it and be like, oh,
really? They'd be like, this is from this match, and
sure, yeah.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, sometimes
I just hope everyone gets tested beforehand. That's all I ask.
For hepatitis, you mean? And
yes, for hepatitis.
I don't know. Probably like the odds of really catching anything aren't very good.
Well,
but
I might have to push back on that one.
I don't know. In my medical opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's been some documented cases.
Yeah,
but,
it's happened.
Probably, but what do I know?
Yeah, Dusty Hill's ZZ Top got it, but I don't think it was from wrestling.
Wait, what did he get?
He had hepatitis.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what got. Is that what got him in the end?
That I don't know, but I do know that he had it.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Complications from it. So I would say generally, average people, rock stars, wrestlers, hepatitis, maybe a little higher.
Yeah, it's a more hepatitis type scene. It's a success disease.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We see that on Saturday, MTV hosts the Countdown to WrestleMania, which I'm sure I watched as a kid.
Sure.
We have Jericho with China.
What was that on? That was on MTV?
MTV, yes.
Oh, wow. That's quite a crossover.
Oh my God! At the time, you wanted to see the brilliance of the machine that I always call it when I was there. It's just that there's so many promotion things working in every angle at all times, and that's when it just grew out of control. And wrestling really, like we always said, like in terms of like technology of websites, it's always like porn and wrestling are ahead of the curve of everyone. In terms of in the '90s back then, the websites working correctly and all this kind of business, and wrestling really leads the way now. If you see anything like the Super Bowl or something, it's not just like the Super Bowl. It's like, well, 1 week before it's Super Bowl week, fan access, layered fucking promotional bullshit that just, and this was the monster growing. this Attitude Era, and it really influenced all kinds of pop culture and society, in my opinion. Of like, just like, why have a Comic-Con and shit like that? It's just like, well, you don't have just one thing, have 5, have more layers,
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl needs 17 days before, and all kinds of bullshit. And like, fans need to have extra things they can buy. And now there's like luxury packages, like, it's like madness. And even at wrestling, it's out of control. When will it stop? Who knows?
Never.
So we have Jericho with China against Eddie Guerrero with Chris Benoit. Eddie Guerrero gets a little mic time, which I like. He says, before I spank you, Jericho, I want to talk to China. I'm really excited to wrestle China at WrestleMania. Judging by the twinkle in China's eyes, she's excited too. And she wants to shake her bonbon, which is a very timely reference because Ricky Martin had a single at the time called Shake Your Bonbon for the kids. She wants to shake your bonbon with Eddie. And if you think I'm sexy, Mamacita, just let me know. And they cut to her. And she's just like, how rude.
Well, what was funny about this is just, Eddie Guerrero was like beloved, 3rd generation wrestler, more, I don't know, but just incredible worker and a really like funny, smart guy. And then I just happened to bring up about how like, China speaks fluent Spanish, and then, maybe there'll be a thing with her and Eddie, whatever. And so like, see what he thinks. And Eddie Guerrero would be totally like, he just wanted to be funny and do stuff and maybe not, have such brutal bumps all the time. But he was really up for it. It's like, yeah, I could be chasing after her because I heard she speaks Spanish and we'll do all this stuff. And then this was like the launch of that. And he was just so good at that, just being this kind of like fascinating guy who grew up in the business, who's just ready at the drop of a hat to be like, oh, here's the huge charisma. And, one of the few guys, he could be funny and he could still work. And so this like started that. But rest in peace, both of them. Boy, goodness gracious. That's all I have to say. But yeah, he was one of my favorites. He was such a funny, great guy.
Dave, any thoughts on China?
That's after my, I like China. I'm pro China. Let's be clear. And I like that she could hand out a beating, but it's after my my era of being really invested in
Your era of
really living it. When I was really living, watching WWF and then Georgia Championship Wrestling and World Championship. Anyway, China, I feel bad. I need to separate the reality of China from the wrestling, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm an empath. So when I hear about China, when I think about China, I feel sad.
Yeah. She's a tragic figure. There's no
We agree. We've talked much about it as well.
But
and Chris Benoit's in this, so there's quite a few tragic figures.
Yeah, but I found her in that. It's not called episode. What is it called again? Event.
Yeah, it's called an event. It's an episode.
I love that she was terrifying, and I got a big kick out of it.
No,
and that would be her at the peak of her powers, right? Basically.
Sure. And it's funny just the how I wonder, like, the take of someone. Well, yeah, she was a woman competing in a man's sport, and now she had just enough, but she was still like oddly sexy, I found at this time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Undeniable.
Yeah. So
I agree. This is a fun match while it lasted. Guerrero and Jericho have plenty of history together, so they know how to work. Benoit eventually interrupts and I believe costs Jericho the match, or maybe it was a DQ. China walks in and Eddie begs off, and the two of them run off. Benoit still destroying Jericho. Angle runs out, gets his heat back for losing to The Rock, and destroys both of his challengers, Angle slamming them. So it's fine. It's fine that he lost.
it's all fine.
How now do they do they not do pile drivers like they used to? Are they not as is that
They've
sort
toned
of
them
faded?
down, I believe, just because of the neck damage.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I like a nice pile driver.
Yeah. And then also like the sometimes when the Undertaker has the tombstone pile driver, so like no one else will really, back in the day you might even see people do that, kind of like Don Morocco used to do a pile driver, and but once one guy establishes it, a big star as his finishing move, everyone kind of backs off doing it anymore. And just as I say, when a move gets over, like Triple H has something called the pedigree that used to be like a move that was done in all kinds of WWF matches all the time in the 70s and 80s. And then once, that became his signature, people back off it. So
my favorite was always, was it Mr. Fuji and Saito?
Mr. Saito?
When they would throw like some sort of powder in someone's eyes.
Salt. Sure.
Was it just salt?
Sometimes it was salt. Sometimes it was a powder.
I always thought it was like a mystery powder. Big fan.
Well, it was more like a talcum powdery thing because they would do salt, but sometimes they would say the salt because salt came from like the sumo wrestlers. Sometimes would throw the salt before they'd warm up. But the salt didn't look as good as like powder in the arena. It was always like the powder would go up so everyone could see like what happened. He threw powder in his eyes.
Yeah. Next thing you know, Chief Jay Strongbow's out.
Yeah. Yeah. But I always liked, did you ever see, there was always like the Kabuki did this with the mist.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
It could be. Well, they did both. Powder was done a lot, wasn't quite a signature move like with Kabuki, who would like hold his throat and spit mist, and then the person would be all green and they would just roll around like my eyes are burning out of control. Pretty good.
I still remember Chief Jay Strongbow telling someone in what's it called when they do the interview, like at the
promo.
The promo.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm going to be on you like a duck on a June bug," and that's still the nastiest shit talking I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. That's a good old Indian proverb from the from the Italian Chief Jay Strongbow, who's actually, I don't know if you knew that.
He was?
Yeah, he's Italian.
Oh. Incredible acting.
Yeah.
Stephanie comes down to the
ring. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. What the hell is an Italian guy masquerading as an Indian pulling an old South duck June bug? That's just, God damn it. All right, go on. That angered me.
Sorry. Stephanie comes out to the ring. She reads a letter from a young female fan, and the gist of the letter is all about how much she respects what Stephanie did, smacking her mom on TV last week. And Vince comes out, says he doesn't know if she stayed up all night writing that letter herself or if the youth has truly gone to hell in a handbasket. Linda interrupts, and she's off mic, and she says, "This has to stop. I blame you for all of this, Vince." And she asks Vince to exercise his role as the patriarch of the family to fix this. And he says he will fix the situation at WrestleMania. He guarantees all of the fans. There's a bit of a wink and a bit of foreshadowing for what ends up happening, which I never picked up on until just now. He's going to fix the situation tonight in that very ring. Stephanie, since you like to slap people, you're going to have your first official match in that very ring against Jackie for the WWF Women's Championship. Huge pop. Stephanie is scared. I'm surprised this was given out so late in the show. This could have been a good tease for the rest of the show, but I guess this was the top of the hour. You had plenty of time.
Well, sometimes you got to realize when you say that, like that very sentence you said could have been in the post-mortem meeting. Wow. Surprised we put it there. Yeah, it should have been earlier. Oh, well, on to Kansas City. Yeah, just one of the many mistakes made every show.
Now we have another GTV segment back in Val's hotel room. This time, the camera shows Val is in bed with Terry. It seems like they just finished having a little...
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Why aren't you a wrestling announcer in 1978, Rob, with that delivery? It was incredible. Seems like something untoward is happening.
There might have been a little horizontal mumbo going on in that hotel room. Terry says she doesn't want their past to cloud Venus's judgment. Venus says, "Don't worry, because fair play is my middle name.
Nice.
Good.
See how those words sound alike, Dave?
It's true.
Yeah, I picked up on it.
I remember many times doing several bits with Val Venus. Always like, and you got to remember too, is like, okay, you're at the arena, it's a production meeting, 10, doing this. Okay, what do we got? Oh, we got to go to a hotel with Val Venus and do this bit. Okay, where's the van? Okay, because we got to be back for this. Race somewhere. Where the fuck did they have it? Why is it fucking too far away? What fucking city are we in? Et cetera, et cetera. So we went somewhere, and I don't know if it was this one. I think maybe. So with the camera crew, you got Val Venus, and then someone like Terry or whatever. We're coming out of a hotel room somewhere. It just looks like, oh, they're making a porno. Val, he doesn't even have his shirt on or whatever. Camera crew, me, whatever. And there was this woman who was like a religious woman. She was like in the hallway, and she was like, I know what you're doing in there. I'm calling the authorities. And we're just like, well, call them. We're just like, and then I was trying to tell her, like, I was like literally just trying to fuck with her, going like, actually, man, this isn't pornography. He's a professional wrestler. And I was trying to explain the thing to her, and she's like, don't you? And she was like coming after me. It was like fucking crazy. And even like Val Venus, I remember, was like backing up, like, whoa. And then like, I think we either took like we're down the stairs or something. Like, it was almost like she was like a feral chihuahua or something. This odd religious one was just so offended because we're piling out of this hotel room. And it was a sight, to see this crew. And then like, just, like, what? But may have been this one, but it was fun. Little fun side treat there for you, Rob.
I like it.
Yeah.
Crash is still running.
There was something untoward going on in that room, but not what that religious feral woman thought.
Crash is still running around backstage. Hardcore Holly attacks him. Crash stumbles into the APA poker room. They smash a beer over his head. Crash ends up in the ring. He says the 24/7 rule is killing him, saying everybody here deserves a title shot. So at Mania, we're going to have a hardcore invitational battle royal with a 15-minute time limit, and the winner at the end of the 15 minutes is a champion. A little clunky description here because a battle royal typically is over the top rope, and this is going to be a pinfall. It's more of like a gauntlet style situation. But
again, the camera pans. Fans going rabid. Nuts. Wait. One selling fan. Hey, excuse me, isn't it? Camera pans past rabid fans. We'll be right back after this. Duly noted, Rob.
Hardcore takes the mic. He says he accepts the match on behalf of everyone, but says this thing between Hardcore and Crash, it's personal. Trying to get a little bit of that angle over that you were talking about last week, Tom.
Yeah, and their cousins and all this. And
yes.
Yeah, it always bums me out because I wanted a whole thing to where like Crash to like want to give up the belt in the middle of the ring, like, I can't take it anymore. And then it just he gets destroyed and he just walks away dejected. But then at the very end, he comes back and gets it again. So it's kind of like this whole thing made me so crazy. I can't do it anymore. And he kind of gives it up and gets booed and it goes away in a stretcher or something. And then, but at the end, he comes back. But so didn't quite work, but it was a fan pleaser nonetheless.
Yeah.
You got to please the fans.
You do. This is true. Or piss them off, as you know, too, with your
True. Cheap
You got to
Heat.
get a reaction. That's it. You got to get, yeah.
I'm going to form a band called Cheap Heat, I think.
Yeah, pretty good. You don't want the fans sitting on their hands, as I say.
We got Malenko against Scotty 2 Hottie. Quick match. This might have been cut a little bit for time. Scotty's over. Ends with a schmaz with the ref being distracted. Scotty has Dean in a roll-up. Eddie runs in and pushes the roll-up over, so Dean is the one that gets the pin. Retains his title. Easy match. Then we have the final GTV segment that really just brings the whole thing home. Val Venus gets a knock on the door. Mae Young barges in the room and says, I hear you're the special ref. I want to show you something. Val is incensed. He's like, hey, if you show any skin, it will ruin any chance of your friend Kat winning at WrestleMania. Good stuff. I like this. I like this as the cherry on top.
Yep. Geriatric sex exploitation.
Always works.
Yep. No one did it better.
Story as old as time.
Yeah.
As old as May. It's Test and Albert T&A, you see, against the Hardys. Back and forth match. Matt got a twist of fate on Test and gets a quick win. I was surprised by this. The Hardys win. Meanwhile, all the other teams in the tag title match at Mania lose. Makes you think, are the Hardys winning on Sunday? No.
There you go.
They're not.
Yeah.
After the match, TNA attack. To get their heat back, we get a first taste of their finisher, which is Test on Albert's shoulders, doing an elbow drop. For the match, Edge and Christian attack. They grab a ladder and climb up. The Dudleys come out, knock the ladder down. Now the Dudleys get their heat back for losing at the start of the show. Everyone gets their heat back.
Yep.
No one's losing any heat tonight. Backstage, Trish is talking to T&A, and they get attacked by head cheese and kendo sticks.
Why not?
Every match, you're giving everyone like juice for every match on the show on Sunday, because these four men are wrestling.
Is it juice? I guess it is. Well, at least the announcers can say, "Oh, what are these guys doing here?" Well, remember last week they did this. Why are they mad? Remember last week this happened. Yeah, layers it, makes it layered, like a lasagna, like a great pro wrestling lasagna, right?
I like that.
Yeah, I kind of want some lasagna right now. We have Steph versus Jackie. This is the main event for the WWE Women's Championship. Who said the women never headlined a show during the Attitude Era? Look at this main event, women's action.
There you
go. Stephanie's very hesitant to enter the ring. Jackie is a legit tough woman. She's wrestled men. I would not want to get in a fight with Jackie.
I would say out of all the women, that she would be the most intimidating to me. Wonderful person. I love her.
Very intimidating.
I think she's and kind of like the smallest, but the most intimidating. I wouldn't like to see her and Luna go at it, because she'd have to do horrible things to beat Luna. But anyways.
Well, Triple H starts the match arguing with the ref, so the ref is distracted. Jackie chases Stephanie around the ring. Stephanie gets to the ring. Jackie gets to the ring behind her. As Jackie gets to the ring, X-Pac, who is at ringside, trips Jackie. This allows Tori, X-Pac's girlfriend, and an actual pro wrestler to run in and DDT Jackie. That's enough to finish Jackie.
Yeah.
Because Stephanie quickly pins her and gets the women's title. She can't believe it. Huge celebration. Kane's pyro hits. Him and Rikishi run down. They attack. Eventually, everybody who's on WrestleMania ends up. The Dudleys come out. That prompts the Hardys and Edge and Christian to come out. That prompts the Radicals to come out. Everybody's out. Everybody's fighting. The Rock comes out last, almost clears the ring. And then Mick Foley comes out with the barbed wire bat, Chekhov's barbed wire bat. And that's when the ring is cleared. And then there's a showdown with Rock and Foley. Everyone is staring each other down as the credits roll. WrestleMania Sunday. Don't you want to watch this?
How are we going to figure this mess out? You're going to have to fork out, shit, what was it back then?
It was like $50. Or
$59.99.
To watch the thing on Sunday.
Yeah.
It wasn't on Peacock back then.
Dave, it was unbelievable, because there would always be, there was all the juice of the excitement of like all these pay-per-views kept like what was the buy rate, you know? And we talk about this sometimes too, like how it's so different now because they're all just these extended TV deals and these big Netflix contracts. But so there's no individual, like they used to be like, oh, how did the box office do for this movie? Is it a failure or does it suck? You know, people waiting on pins and needles, like, how did it do? Oh my God, we're a hit. Or TV ratings, like it doesn't seem like it matters anymore because now they don't talk about it. Like late night TV, like don't mention the ratings. No one's watching anything, you know.
Yeah.
And they are, oh no, it's like segmented into YouTube. But back then it was kind of like, holy shit, what was the pay-per-views? And everyone would be on everyone's like minds, like, and when you come in on a Monday, it'd be like, what was the buy rate? $40 million. Holy shit. And juiced everyone. So everyone was constantly juiced. And like, you were just like, it was like being on like a massive hit show. So it was like, it affected everything
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But
I like that.
Seems to be
a simpler time.
Yeah. Like, as you know, when you're on tour and you're like, oh my God, the places are all sold out, and you have a direct relationship with kind of the success, for lack of a better terms, in terms of the commerce of it, which is unavoidable, instead of like,
yeah,
I'm in it for the art. It doesn't matter if there's, 30 people here or 600. Bullshit. Like it's
yeah, exactly.
So what were your thoughts, Dave? How did you feel at the end of the show? How did you feel watching the SmackDown?
Oh,
Are you excited?
roller coaster ride. I mean, I don't know. Not to. We were talking about this yesterday. I'm just like. Well, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I just like just smaller and cheaper. So like, I love all the crazy stuff. I love the 24/7 match. I feel like it's a great metaphor for life in general. And just the more chaos, the better. But yeah, I think in general, I like.
I know what you mean, because that's what I cut my teeth on as a kid, and that is still my favorite. If I had to pick my favorite era, it's like I like the 70s when it was just either studio wrestling or like, and now cut to that wrestler doing a used car lot commercial or the local affiliate. That flavor and that oddness is still like that is the closest one to my heart, really.
Yeah, like when there's like confused Boy Scout troop in the corner, you know, all sort of like all that going on. So anytime you can kind of remind me of that, I'm a fan of it. I do like the cheap hotel scenes.
It's such an odd business because it's kind of like so much things are funny that aren't supposed to be funny that end up being funny, and then but then they take that and run with it because anything that gets a reaction works in wrestling. And then the 100-year tradition of wrestling is it's a con job. You know what I mean? It's a work. You know what I mean? And then it kind of grew into like now it's not so much that it's like a presentation which kind of bums me out. I liked back in the day when Sergeant Slaughter would be like, "Oh my God, Sergeant Slaughter's siding with the Iraqs during the war," and shit like that. And then like we say, like the company wouldn't get the heat. You wouldn't say like nowadays, be like, "How can this organization do something like that?" Back then it became like Sergeant Slaughter's reprehensible. The wrestler itself got the heat. Because you could always like, we agree here at wrestling that this is a reprehensible thing to do, and that oddness is kind of like a little bit gone for me.
Yeah, I mean I don't even like when they were like, no, it's entertainment. Like when they just sort of were like even I guess they had to change the name or whatever. I mean, I'm speaking from everything I'm saying is coming from a place of great ignorance to the sport.
Well,
not the business.
You're representing
it's the sport of kings.
The pro wrestling fan, if you're coming from.
Well, I like that place of, but also I was saying this to Rob yesterday. Going to those VFW matches, I remember having that like eureka moment where I was just like, oh my gosh, and something I had always known, but when I was watching like whatever, like even in this little place in Cleveland, some suburb, like the manager's coming out and hitting the guy with the cane, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's theater. Like it was just like I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like a direct link to ancient Greece. Sure. And like I was just like, this is amazing. And that's what made me like, I'm like, I want to be a plant next time. Just because I couldn't believe I don't know. I just when I kind of had that realization, I was really excited, and but I also like the idea of never acknowledging that it's fake.
Yeah,
agreed.
Kayfabe as they call it. Well, there's a great old school phrase when people would kind of always look down upon fans that oddly like believed it so much, and I always made the analogy like, well, they believe that God lives in the sky with a cloud and all. This is all fine. You know what I mean? The three major religions aren't really that many, much less ridiculous than wrestling. But anyways, there's a phrase called, "For those that need an explanation, none will do. For those that don't need an explanation, none is necessary." Meaning for people just wholeheartedly put themselves like into the fandom of it. Yeah. And I also use an analogy. To me, it was like punk rock was the first kind of almost religious experience I had, where it's kind of like I almost became a punk rocker overnight. Like when I was like, man, what the fuck, because I was a rocker and fucking Ted Nugent in Detroit and all that shit. And then it was like, oh, it's so hyper negative and like, and there was this one fucking kid in school who was a punk rocker. He used to like put French fries on his zits to make them greasier, and just like, and people were like, "What the fuck is with that guy?" And then I suddenly was like, "Oh, it's this weird embrace of negativity and nihilism." And then like, yeah, fuck yeah, and then like, and then when the more people went like, "Why the fuck would you listen to that? Fucking those fuck, they can't even play," and be like, "Yeah, fuck you," you know, it was like, oh, I get it. And to me, there's a similar vein in pro wrestling like that, when people would, you know, back in the day, they would tell a wrestler like, "Oh, if you lose a bar fight, you're fired," and they would have real tough guys. So there's always a time honored thing of some local fucking athlete or something going, "Oh, you know, oh, you're one of those wrestlers, that's fake," and the wrestler would have to fucking completely beat his ass apart and hurt him, and then the legend would continue, so people knew like these guys are fucking real. In fact, there was one wrestler back then, it was Greg the Hammer Valentine's father. I think he said like, "I know 99% of people think it's fake, but they'll never think I'm fake." Meaning being like, yeah, try me, even though it's a work, and the things they're doing are, you know, whatever. So all those aspects are very still, you know, to me, like, I think what you're talking about.
That's what I kind of respected about when the guy hit me really hard and bruised my chest. It was extremely painful, and I was genuinely momentarily like scared, like where I was like, I'm not getting up to have this happen again. I respected him for doing that to me. So I was like, I kind of deserve that for like trying to get in on the act. And then
yeah.
But
and it's that awkward. It's farming that awkwardness, as you know, in fucking stand up or whatever, or you know why Andy Kaufman went to Memphis and did all that. It's like, oh, that awkwardness that happens sometimes, you know, that's out of those, whether, you know, have been on stage bombing or weird, you know what I mean? Farming those weird that energy from those weird moments like that. Like, it's going awry, I'm not getting up. Like, people can see like, oh, that guy wasn't in for, is it what? You know, like, I'm sure there was people to this day like, oh, some guy from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, he fucking really hit him. You know? Yeah.
And I don't know. Also, like, I don't know, wrestling. I think being invested in, like, kind of as a fan makes a lot more sense to me than watching reality television and believing that the Real Housewives are really fighting or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find wrestling to be a lot more believable.
Wrestling wrestling explains life to me. I don't know. Everything is kayfabe. Politics is kayfabe, you know?
Everyone
is
completely.
working. So I agree in that sense. We should all live by its model more and question everything we see. Is this kayfabe? Is this real? Is this person trying to work with me? Are you trying to get heat with me right now? You know, like, that's the way to live. That's how I live my life.
This is good. The only thing that would be good to end this right now if someone just came up behind Dave with a chair and just
that was or the guy from the wrestling match chopped him out of the shot.
Yeah,
that would have been the great conclusion. But since we don't have that, Dave, thank you so much for your time and hanging out with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Anything to promote to the masses?
Always. My comic book series, Dark Regards, out now through Oni Press, is probably my. And then tour dates at DaveHillOnline.com. Follow me on Instagram at Mr. Dave Hill, at Mr. Dave Hill. That's
Dark
it.
Regards. I'm excited for that. That's one of those, like, in this day where so many mishmash of words put together, someone would say dark regards. We're like, ooh, that's something that a very fancy vampire would say when leaving. Dark regards. Send them my dark regards. Oh,
yeah.
Meaning, like, what does that mean? Oh, meaning, like, you know, tell them I said hi and I'm thinking about killing them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
I like that you both traded phrases today. Tommy, you gave Dave cheap heat, and Dave gave the Tommy dark regards.
Dark regard.
Cheap heat, I feel like, is going to be in my vernacular. If someone insults me at a party, I'm just going to, or whatever. I don't know why I chose that scenario.
Yeah,
but
just go for their mom. Cheap heat.
I'll be like, hey, thanks for the cheap heat, and then I'll head over to the cheese plate.
Kind of like you could do it with, like, relatives of someone, like, oh, she's like this. Like, that's cheap heat. Like, surely you can come up with something more nuanced why you hate her. That. than that cheap heat. But at the same time, cheap heat is good, and
It's really good.
you do cheap heat with your bringing the other. That's a classic. Like, yeah.
Cheap heat, I think, it's like flying an airplane upside down. It's an impressive move, but you have to be able to flip it back around, or you're in big trouble.
Wow. I think we should say wow and end that. I don't agree with that at all, and I'm confused by it. But I'm like, wow.
No, I think in my case, what I think of it like it's a risky move. If your goal is to ultimately want the crowd to like you, it's a risky move, cheap heat. But I think
it's only used to get the crowd to hate you.
I know, but I like to do it, but then try to see if I can turn it back around.
Man, all this goodwill we just had in the past minute is just evaporating. I don't understand.
No, I'm saying it's like social ankle weights. If your goal is ultimately, you're saying, well, I'm going out there, I want them to like me, and then you introduce some cheap heat,
right?
Then you have to work that much harder to get the desired effect, and that's why I say social ankle weights,
yeah,
because you have to work harder.
I'm on board. In fact, I think I needed to throw those obstacles out there to kerfuffle your way through it to really hit home how to understand what we're talking about.
Well, in effect, this conversation has done exactly what I said was describing, because I turned you against me momentarily, and then I brought it back around.
Yeah. That's true.
On that note, folks, where do we go from there? Thank you for tuning in. TFT Attitude Era on social, tftattitudeera@gmail.com if you want to send us questions. Send us WrestleMania questions. Next week is our big WrestleMania 2000 recap. And boy, my smart Mark hat will be on. We're out of here, folks. See you next time.